Welcome to Module 7A, where we will be looking at paradox, irony, and sarcasm. I am Miss Adams. If at any point during this video you feel like I'm talking too fast, or you need just to pause the video so you can finish taking notes, feel free to stop, finish what you need to get done on your handout, and then resume playing the video. We're going to go ahead and look at Standard 7A. Students need to understand, make inferences, and draw conclusions about how an author's sensory language creates imagery in a literary text, and provide evidence from the text to support their understanding. The skills we will use is understanding paradox, irony, and sarcasm, which are types of literary devices, otherwise known as sensory language. And then we will need to use paradox, irony, and sarcasm in order to make inferences and draw conclusions about its purpose within the text. Go ahead and copy down the skills we will use today on the upper right-hand corner of your handout. Our first literary device that we need to understand is paradox. In the box that says, "What is a paradox?" fill in the blanks. It is a statement that contradicts itself, or that is both true and untrue at the same time. An example of that is, it's cruel to be kind. Cruel means evil, and kind means nice. Those two ideas are opposite, so they contradict themselves and seem untrue. However, it could be true. If you told someone the truth, but the truth was hurtful, you could be kind by being honest, yet cruel by hurting their feelings. Let's also look at a visual of a paradox. Optical illusions can also seem like paradoxes. This is an image of both a young woman and an old woman. But if you're young, you can't be old, so that contradicts itself or seems untrue. However, if you look at the image, you can see that there's a hat and hair. It is the same for both women. For the old woman, here is her eye, here is her nose, here is her mouth, and her chin. For the young woman, here is her ear, her eyelash, her nose, her chin, her necklace, and her dress line. This image is contradicting itself because there is an old woman and a young woman. So it seems untrue, however, we can see both. So it is also true, making it a paradox. The next term is irony. Irony is when the intended outcome of a situation is different from the actual outcome of a situation. If there is a CEO of a hybrid car company and they drive a Hummer, that's ironic. You wouldn't think that someone who makes cars or runs a company with environmentally friendly cars would be driving a car that is probably one of the worst environmental cars you could drive. Sarcasm. Sarcasm is when someone says the opposite of what they mean, which is similar to irony. One example of that is yelling "nice catch" to someone who has dropped a ball after you throw it to them. You are sarcastic because you're saying the opposite of what you mean. Since they didn't catch the ball, it's not a nice catch. So why do authors use paradox, irony, and sarcasm? Well, they use them to catch the reader's attention. They make the reader stop and think because it's a confusing idea since it contradicts itself or is the opposite. And it requires readers to use their imagination and visualize something going on in the story. Please make sure you have filled in these blanks at the bottom of the page before you move on. All right, now we're going to turn the page. I'm going to exit this PowerPoint. And we are going to look at a student example from the mock ACP. So I want us to look at what this student did well and note the steps they took. Go ahead and get out a highlighter if you don't already have one. The first thing this student does is they identify where the question is asking them to go and what the question is asking them about. So they annotate the question for where and what. The second step the student takes is they go back into the text and identify the where of the text. Then they read through and they actually highlight evidence for the what. In this section, we're trying to find the paradox. So we're trying to find two things that seem both true and untrue or contradict themselves. Walter says, oh, about a lot of things. About you and what kind of man you're going to be when you grow up. Son, what do you want to be when you grow up? Travis says, a bus driver. Walter, what? Man, that ain't nothing to want to be. Why not? 'Cause, man, it ain't big enough. You know what I mean? I don't know then. I can't make up my mind. Sometimes Mama asks me that too. And sometimes when I tell her I want to be just like you, she says she don't want me to be like that. And sometimes she says she does. All right, so our student has wrote off to the side, wants him to be successful, and then has highlighted this part. When I tell her I want to be like you, she says she don't want me to be like that, and sometimes she says she does. So down here, by the question, they have written that we're trying to identify the purpose because the words to show always mean that you're looking for a purpose. And he wrote, wants to be like his father and doesn't. Well, that's the mom's thoughts. So anywhere in here, I can immediately cross out Travis or Walter because this is focusing on the mom's thoughts. The only question that actually talks about the wife is answer choice A. Mixed feelings indicates that she does and does not want him to be like his father. So the purpose is to show the wife's feelings. The purpose of the paradox, of the contradiction, is to show mixed feelings. So the second step was that we went into the text and found evidence. And the third step is that we answered the question and chose matching answer choice. Make sure you have these steps written down before you move on. I'm going to move us to the next 7A question that we had on our mock ACP. The author uses paradox in paragraph 11 in order to. Now you can't see it very well on the paper, but the student did actually highlight author, paradox, and paragraph 11. They identify the where and the what, just like the first student. Then they go back into the text and highlighted paragraph 11. They went and read through paragraph 11. I knew then I had to have a house, a real house, something substantial and of legitimate consequence, one I could point to, but this isn't it. The house on Mango Street isn't it. For the time being, Mama says. Temporary, says Papa. But I know how those things go. So she says, the house on Mango Street isn't it. She says she wants a house, but this house isn't it. Well, if she wants a house, she has a house. So this isn't technically the house she wants. The student underlined the words insecurity and bitter. She does not feel good about this house. She's self-conscious about it. And she is bitter or upset that she lives in this house that she does not like. That's what she means by she wants a real house. So the answer is D, because the author uses the paradox in order to show us that this house does not feel real to her and makes her insecure and bitter. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to practice. So turn your page. This question is from Romeo and Juliet. I would like you to try and answer this question on your own. Once you think you have the answer, go ahead and start the video. Please make sure that you are using the exact same steps that we went over in the practice of the 2 ACP questions that you had taken a couple weeks ago. All right, welcome back. Hopefully, you have already answered the question and marked it up the way you were supposed to. If you did that, you should have the line 16 highlighted for your where and irony highlighted for your what. You should have also noticed that the words to show mean that you are looking for purpose. In line 16, you can see, if he be married, my grave is likely to be my wedding bed. We know that she's talking about Romeo. And this is ironic because typically when you get married, you feel like your life is just beginning, not like your life is ending, which would equal grave. So the answer would be that Juliet believes her life will be over, that idea of the grave, if she can't marry this man, the idea of the wedding. So those are 2 pieces of text evidence that can prove my answer. Now move down to the next question. Go ahead and try this question on your own using the 3 steps we've discussed before. Once you have answered the question, unpause the video and check to see that you are correct. Welcome back. Hopefully you have completed the steps of highlighting lines 21 and 22, which is where, and highlighting irony, which is what, and identifying that it's asking you about purpose. If I go to lines 21 and 22, I see that it says water everywhere, but then it says nor any drop to drink. My answer choices talk about a ship, a crew, a ship, and if I look back into the text, I can see the words ocean and ship to give me some context of what's going on. Now, A and B seem really similar. A says the crew does not want to drink, and B says they can't drink. People cannot drink salt water, which is what the ocean is made of. So salt water is something we can't drink. And they are in a ship that's in an ocean. But they can't drink any of that water because it's salt water. So B becomes our correct answer. It seems contradictory that when you are surrounded by water, you would have no water to drink. All right, now it's time for you to practice on your own. You have a quiz for 7A. Once you are finished with this quiz, you need to go back onto the Google Doc where you were able to find this video link, and you need to complete the Google form with your answers. Once you have done that, you can move on to the next module. I hope that this was helpful and that you do well on your quiz. Good luck!